Today I'm here to talk about cricket in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe received test status in 1993, and it's one of the latest country to have received full membership from the ICC. Zimbabwe has shown thus far that there are no pushover until politics spoil the show. They have since had a competitive series against Zimbabwe, India, England, Sri Lanka, and Pakistan. If one follows the fortunes of Zimbabwe cricket from 1983 to 2005, then one would have realized that their cricket endured rough periods. After performing reasonable in 1993 World Cup, Zimbabwe applied for test status and the ICC turned down their request. In 1997, a vote was cast by the entire test playing countries to decide whether Zimbabwe could play test cricket. Although they won the vote 4-3, England and Australia, who held the veto power, meaning that they had more power than the ICC and all other test playing country, still did not grant them test status. How could two countries dictate whether a country can play the game at the highest level and overrule the other test playing countries? This is certainly not democracy. After the 1993 World Cup, Zimbabwe were mercifully granted test status. But interestingly, England, who they had defeated in the 1993 World Cup, was the only country that said that Zimbabwe were not ready to play test cricket. From the early 20th centuries, South Africa have allowed Zimbabwe to play in their 4-day Currie Cup. What the South Africans have not realized, that they were helping to foster the love of the game amongst the Zimbabwe people, thus shaping a competitive unit for the future. A unit that was only to be checked in the 80s by the two dictators of the game, England and Australia. South Africa should be praised for allowing Zimbabwe to play in her first class 4-day competition, which helped Zimbabwe cricket tremendously. Shame on you, England. You have never allowed Holland, Ireland, Denmark, Scotland to play or to a Stennel, Isles of Man, Jersey, or Guernsey to play in your 4-day competition. But yet, allow Holland and Ireland to play in your 1-day knockout, not trophy, knowing that one day game cannot help a country standard that much. If England were serious about helping the cause of Dutch, Irish, Danish, and Scottish cricket, then England should have allowed this country to play in a 4-day first class competition. England Cricket Authority is probably saying, you cannot be the best in the world, or at least we can be the best in Europe. In 1996, Zimbabwe, England, and Australia. In 1996, England and Zimbabwe rather played in 2 tests and the 3 one-day matches. The 2 test matches were rain affected. As a result, were drawn. In the one-day series, it seems that Zimbabwe were enacting revenge on the country that caused them so much anguish during the 80s. Zimbabwe duly defeat England 3-0 in the one-day series, and the team that was not good enough to play Test cricket 3 years ago was now giving them a cricketing lesson. I will praise if during the 80s, Netherlands and Ireland and Scotland, no, not Scotland, Netherlands, Ireland, Denmark were the leading associate country in Europe. If England have allowed these countries to play in their first class 4-day competition in the 80s, I bet that these countries would be test playing countries and would get experience that they can play test, that they can become a test playing country. England have never done much to every game in Europe.